Hi, this is Harriet Grayson, your host and producer of Community Culture Showcase. And if I haven't had the opportunity, I want to wish all of my audience a very happy holidays and a happy new year. It's been an interesting year. I think that 2017 is going to be a most interesting year as the Chinese talk about the proverbs of what may be happening. But today, we all are going to have a lot of fun because I have as my guests people with Parkinson's, dancing with Parkinson's. So we're going to have a little mix-up with little singing, dancing. And so I have with us a bunch of guests. With me first is Lisa. She is the public relations?
Yes, marketing and public relations manager.
For the Neighborhood Music School, which is based in New Haven. And tell us a little bit about the school. Tell us a little bit about you. And tell us how you got involved with this very, I would say, unusual program.
Okay, well, the Dancing with Parkinson's program is something that Neighborhood Music School offers in New London, and we have other locations as well in Middletown and in Brantford. Neighborhood Music School is based in New Haven. We're one of the largest community arts schools in the state. And we've been around for over 100 years.
Wow.
We serve over 2,700 students. And we have people who are beginners in music and people who are very advanced, all different ages. And so we're based in New Haven, but we do have a branch in the Shoreline in Guilford. And you can come and study up 30 different instruments.
Right.
We have lots and lots going on. We have music, dance, and drama.
Oh, okay.
And we also have a preschool, an arts integrated preschool. We have an after-school arts program. And we also have auditioned ensembles and also non-auditioned ensembles. So people can come if you're interested in just playing with other people.
Right.
We have lots of opportunity for that.
Okay. And do people actually come to your physical location?
Absolutely.
Okay. So it isn't like someone comes to someone's home and gives them private lessons.
We do have a few students who teach out of their homes. I'm sorry, a few faculty members who teach out of their homes, but we have studios at 100 Audubon Street in New Haven. We're in the Arts District, which is beautiful.
Okay.
We're right down the street from Creative Arts Workshop and the Arts Council, and it's a wonderful little area. And so people come and they take lessons, sometimes in a group, sometimes one-on-one.
Right.
And we also have all kinds of different dance. We have health and wellness programs at Neighborhood.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, and so there's so much to do. It's a wonderful community, and we urge everybody to come and check it out.
Okay, so the place to check out this information would be from your website?
Yes, it's neighborhoodmusicschool.org.
Okay, very simple.
Yep.
Neighborhood Music School, singular.
Yep. .org, and we are a nonprofit organization.
Right, so you're always looking for money.
Well, we fundraise throughout the year, although we do charge tuition for some of our programs.
Right.
Most of our programs, we have we do fundraising throughout the year so that we are able to offer scholarships and tuition assistance. And we have over 500 students at Neighborhood that receive over $200,000 worth of tuition assistance.
Oh, very nice.
Throughout the year.
Nice. Off camera, where I was talking about my musical background, which is atrocious. But nonetheless, I did, and I think it's a very good thing for kids to learn music. It teaches, first of all, I think because it teaches fractions in terms of learning to read music. I mean, what else are you going to see 1/32, right? You know, that kind of 1/16, 1/8, 1/4, you know, that kind of stuff. So you learn. And you learn early. At least my experience has been you learn early, and it lives with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
As I was saying, I was a mediocre accordion player, and I was an atrocious clarinet player. But I was forced to do it through the school system, and it benefits me decades later. Yeah. I'm sure if I studied it with a couple of weeks, I would learn how to read music
do it again.
You know, read music again. My mouth is probably still the same, so that anybody who's ever played the clarinet will know that I still don't hold my mouth well. But as I was saying to you, years later, I was in college and I got to be one of the arts reviewers. And I got all the classical music concerts for free. I used to go. I do the review because I was the only one who had remotest interest and understanding about what was being done. So I think it's wonderful. Now, you don't exclusively teach classical music, right?
Not at all. We have all different kinds of genres of music. We have a wonderful jazz program. We have classical guitar. We have rock guitar. We have all kinds of different instruments. And even in terms of dance, we offer ballet, we have hip hop, we have jazz. So, and again, all different ages. And we really encourage people to come and just try it out. You know, we're a very warm and welcoming community, a neighborhood music school, and you know, we don't want people to be afraid, and think that they have to be, you know, an expert to come. You know, we want beginners as well as those who are advanced and those who want to play with other students.
Do you make arrangements for rentals, because that's an issue in terms of trying out? So the neighborhood music school actually does that.
We do have some instruments for rental, and then we can refer students to other places that where instruments can be rented. We even have a steel drum ensemble, and so they do wonderful things. We have recitals. We have all kinds of opportunities for people to perform, and then we also have a summer program which is called Audubon Arts, and in the summer we have a chamber music program for students, and we have the summer jazz, summer rocks, and Audubon Arts is great. We've got groups, kids all the way from who are, you know, 5 years old all the way up to high school students who come and learn everything from theater to visual arts to writing, poetry. So there's something going on all year round.
Yeah. And the faculty who teach, they are from
all over the state. We have very professional, experienced faculty, and our student services staff spends a lot of time working with each student to place them with somebody who's a really, really good fit.
Right.
So you can come and you can take a trial lesson. In fact, we're doing something now where you can come take a trial lesson for free through January 15th, just to see how, you know, try it out and see what it's like. And we encourage people to take advantage of that.
Well, I encourage people to definitely, for all kids from age 5 or 6 on, that they should all be exposed to learning how to play an instrument. And the instrument actually could be your
voice as well. Absolutely.
Your voice as well, although I often don't say that. It is true, your voice is an instrument, because it's a wonderful thing to learn. Not only do you learn this mathematics stuff, but you also, you learn, I think, for a child, is the ability to sit still for a while. The other thing I think is fascinating, now my daughter studied at the Hart School, the community division, when she started to play the cello at 6, which she played until she graduated high school. And of course, as she got older, the compositions became more complex. And I think it was a wonderful experience because it also teaches you that things aren't necessarily linear, especially the way you learn music. You could get, the easy piece might be in the middle, so that you learn the middle piece first, and then you maybe go back to the front, and go back to the end. And it also teaches you to work with yourself, because you have to get your piece right. But also, if you play in an ensemble or with an orchestra, you're playing together. And I think that's a wonderful experience for a child to see. I guess it's to some degree like a sport, but the difference is that you have to be accomplished, and you learn to be accomplished by practicing yourself, and then you're part of the group. And you have people in sports that, you know, they're the stars and stuff, but generally in an orchestra or an ensemble group, there isn't a star. It's the music that you make together, and I think that's a wonderful lesson for a kid to make. And so my daughter, given there is a certain point where you decide, as you were talking about earlier, whether you're going to do this as a career or you're just going to have this as something you love to do, and she made that decision. She was not going to do this 6 hours a day for the rest of her life. So my mother, who's now deceased, would always say, what are you complaining about? Instead of being a penniless musician, she became a doctor. And I would tell you that as a parent, she became a doctor because she learned a lot of skills in terms of studying that were first given to her starting in first grade about playing this really very large, cumbersome instrument. Well, but it could be the same with the flute or the clarinet or the tuba, you know, it's the same thing.
I'll tell you a secret. It's amazing. We actually do have quite a few students at Neighborhood who are doctors. You can be any profession and still have your music be important to you. And as you mentioned, the way that people learn how to play music together and work together, that applies to dance as well. We have all kinds of programs where students can learn. You can take individual lessons if you wanted to, but our students learn how to actually create choreography as a group. And we do have a dance concert in the spring where people perform. And so there's all kinds of wonderful opportunities. And the Dancing with Parkinson's program is unusual because it's not at our location, but it's here in New London and in Branford, as I mentioned, and Middletown. And but we have wonderful teachers like Rachel, who's here today.
So Rachel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I played music for a little while when I was younger, but I actually danced from age 3 on.
Oh, okay.
And I almost chimed in saying your body is also an instrument.
There you go.
This idea, and you know, what's undeniable is that our bodies are our first way of expressing ourselves, and so. I danced very early on, and I danced throughout college, and then only stopped when I started to have my 3 daughters, and started back in after that. And so I've really danced all my life.
Right.
And, I became a clothing designer, but after about 25 years of that, I decided decided to look at what was next, and I have always loved dancing and music and movement, and I decided that's what I would do. I would go back to that, and I started teaching dance and really enjoyed it. But what I saw was that there was a lot of fluctuation in the class size. People would come, they would not come, and because as able-bodied people, there's so many choices, and understandably things like this happen. And about the same time of my somewhat dissatisfaction, I learned of this program, Dancing with Parkinson's, or Dance for PD was really what it was, a program out of Brooklyn. And the combination of this program being sponsored by the Mark Morris Dance Group, which, you know, if you are in the dance world, means a great deal.
Yes.
And this notion of working and dancing with a population where movement is not taken for granted, that being able to move and being encouraged to move and being in an environment where you feel grace and joy and accessing that joy in your own body. So I had this kind of personal vision and goal for myself, which was to help people access their own joy and vitality in their own bodies. And I found that through Parkinson's and Dance with PD that this was exactly what I was looking for.
And we actually have a participant of one of your programs, Carol.
Yes.
If you want to tell us what it's like to be in one of these classes.
Well, I've probably been going for 2 years.
Okay.
And it was amazing that it was so welcoming from the beginning.
Ah, okay.
And really people can participate really at any level or however they're able to move. And you really get to know the other individuals that come to class. And it really kind of gives you, you know, kind of a freedom of movement, you know, with your body, depending upon, you know, how you are that particular day. And the opportunities for participating in other activities have been phenomenal. We've gone to New York City and danced at Mark Morris Studio.
Oh, where was that located, actually?
It's in Brooklyn, New York, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we actually danced in the Paul Taylor studio
that's right, Paul Taylor.
last year, and that's a whole nother piece I'd love to talk about at some point, this idea of performance, so not just class time, but actually taking something and working on it and performing. So I'll talk about that after.
You know, we travel to Providence and usually participate in a particular symposium there.
Every year.
Wow.
So that beside the movement we do every week,
there's
always very interesting choreography that we begin to learn that has oftentimes very, very strong historical background.
Yeah, but that's this, I also teach at Brown University, and we are connected with a program there called American Dance Legacy Initiative, and they create these 3 to 4 minute etudes based on classical modern choreographers. And so what I've been able to bring to our New London class is this opportunity to learn that choreography. I modify it so that we can perform it successfully.
Right.
And every year they get to perform it in Providence at Brown with the professional dance company, the Brown University Dance Company, Central Falls High School, and then the Parkinson's dancers who come from Newport, New London, and Providence. And so last year, Carol referred to our trip where we took an etude and performed. It was the Taylor, excuse me, it was a different performance. It was Rainbow Around My Shoulder, which was Donald McHale. And that was performed at the Paul Taylor Studios because that was going to be performed in the spring series at Lincoln Center as part of the Paul Taylor spring program. But this idea of connecting through the generations, so we have not only our class of people with Parkinson's, and not everyone has Parkinson's.
Right, I was going to ask about that.
Other movement challenges, but one thing that I really encourage, and it's been quite successful, is to get students wherever I'm teaching to be a part of the class. And so at Connecticut College, we usually have at least one student who works with us, and it's a wonderful opportunity to see their growth and learning how we do this, and they then go on and perhaps choose that profession as opposed to becoming a performer. Because not everyone who loves dancing is going to do it as a professional career.
Yes, the same thing with
But there are
musicians,
so many opportunities in this area of wellness and health and arts that I think having youth in the class and having that wonderful connection, so creating through the generations and through art and through community has been really powerful.
I think that people seeing like Carol being healthy and being able to do this reminds us about some of the ageism that we have, not only in this country, but you know, worldwide, where we don't have the kind of respect perhaps that we should. And just because you've reached a certain age and presumably have some kind of disease doesn't mean you can't be a productive and active member of our society. So the very fact that you get an audience, and the audience presumably is all ages, is this wonderful realization on the part of the audience saying, hey, wait, wow, this person could be my grandma. Or I guess you get guys too, my grandpa. And look at them, look at the way they move better than I move. So I think that's wonderful in terms of society, having that reinforcement that, you know, we could do a lot of stuff together, and just because someone seems old and frail, that's not true. They can actually have a whole other life.
And the students perform with them, so we have that in on the stage. It's not just, you know, just in the classroom. They're actually performing at the same time as well. So there's this wonderful sense of we are all doing this together. And there's this bond that forms. It's very, very powerful.
How did this whole thing get started? I mean, who's behind this that said, oh, do they have a relative with Parkinson's?
Well, Ole Westheimer was the head of the Brooklyn Parkinson's group in Brooklyn. Her husband is a neurologist, and she was doing different programming with her support group. And she herself was a dancer, and she thought, well, why don't we approach the Mark Morris Dance Group? They are very civic-minded and looking for all kinds of outreach programs, just as the neighborhood music school is. So she approached Mark Morris and said, what would you think about sponsoring a monthly dance class? And it wasn't to address Parkinson's mobility issues. It was merely or simply to give them something that was non-medicalized, a way to get together. And what happened was they saw quite quickly that they're actually a beautiful match for each other, because if you think of what dancers have to do and what people with Parkinson's have to do, it's quite the same thing. What happens with Parkinson's is you start to lose your automatic movement. So dancers and people with Parkinson's need to be very mindful of every movement they make. Nothing is given away or thrown away. So once that started percolating in the dance class, it was just this beautiful marriage. And so there was this sense of imagery and creativity and spontaneity. It works on 5 different levels, and I can elucidate on that if you want to hear that. So anyway, this started and it grew and grew to become every week, and then now it's like 50 or 60 people in their class, and now it's in several places. It's also at Juilliard, and it's on the Upper East Side, and it's in, I think it's in over 14 countries and over 100 communities worldwide. Excuse me, in this country.
So how did the Neighborhood Music School in New Haven get involved with a program that starts out of Brooklyn, New York?
Well, originally, the very first time that we were connected with Dancing for PD is that the International Festival of Arts and Ideas, which is based in New Haven, actually had the Mark Morris Dance Group come and do, they were part of the lineup that summer. And one of the things that they did is they held a public class that was being taught by David Leventhal, and we were the location for this class. So we were lucky enough to connect with this group, and it was, you know, we just had a really good synergy between the two organizations. And I believe you came to that class, and we had, and I think Laura Richling was there, somebody from our dance department.
We were sponsored at that point by the Connecticut Parkinson's Working Group, but we were looking for a new fiscal agent, someone else who could really help us grow. And so I was already teaching for about a year, I believe, before this happened, and then that just sparked the next the next thing, and it just seemed like again another beautiful marriage. And Neighborhood Music School from 2009 has
Since
sponsored
then,
that. Yeah.
And how's the word get out? How did people, like Carol, how did you find out about the group?
Well, I knew about it. There had been pieces in the paper.
Ah, okay.
And I had noticed that over, you know, a number of times. And then probably about 2.5 years ago, I was diagnosed. So then I began to look for more movement activities, and actually first joined coming through the senior center. They were coming up on a particular day, and I figured, well, I'll just kind of check it out while they're going. And it just kind of blossomed from there.
Wow. So you are a member of the New London
I do go to the senior center.
Okay.
But I usually I always go to dance every Wednesday. They only typically will come as a group the first Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
But I go, you know, each Wednesday.
Oh, to dance?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, up at the Connecticut College. They
okay.
let us use their dance studio.
Yeah, we have to thank David Dorfman. Big shout out to David Dorfman at Connecticut College for offering beautiful studio space, because that's actually one of the one of the most important tenets of this Dance for Parkinson's disease, or Dancing with Parkinson's, is to hold the class in a dance studio.
Oh, okay.
Because we are dancers. People who come into that classroom feel the presence of dance. It's in their bones, it's in the mirrors, it's in the flooring, it's in the dance bars. So that really makes a difference, and we have such a beautiful space at Connecticut College. But to go back to your point about how do they hear about it, Neighborhood Music School does a nice job. It's on the website. Dance for PD that has a fabulous website with all kinds of resources, and that lists the locations. So for anyone who might be listening to this program who does not live in our state, there's some wonderful, great information on that website. I also want to give a shout out to two different other sources. Physical therapy clinics have been really great about referring their patients to us. We don't call them patients in our class. They are dancers in our class, but they're patients in the physical therapy clinics. And the thing that's been really exciting for me, because I've been doing this for 8 years now, is to see the number of neurologists referrals that we are getting. They are slowly but surely seeing that this is important. This is not an alternative therapy. This is another tool to put in the toolbox, because all the studies are showing that it decreases doctor's visits, it decreases hospital visits, it decreases medication, it decreases, in general, it builds the immune system. There's so much evidence now. We don't have to pound our head against the wall quite as much as we did 8 years ago.
And that is because somehow just the ability of keeping yourself mobile like this is, Carol, you can attest to this, is that part of the secret of...
Definitely, and you know, you do have to, it's a very enjoyable, you know, class, but you do really have to think about it, because there's a lot of things left side of the body, there's a lot of things right side of the body, and that isn't always easy for everyone to kind of hear that and make it happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone participates as they're able to. There's really no right or wrong ways to do it.
You've
You just
learned
go.
all the rules of the class.
You know, you have fun, and you know, you just meet wonderful people.
Yeah. Well, there are 5 tenets of this, and I think that might help clarify how this works. And there's probably more, but one clearly is the physical, with flexibility, coordination, mobility, gait, posture. There's so much to say that for how that improves. Not for everyone, but it certainly has the possibility for that.
Right.
It also operates on this creative, spontaneous level where you are doing role playing and very much improvisational. There's actually a lot of research coming out now on the impact of improvisation and brain health.
Okay.
It operates on the cognitive level because, as Carol said, there's a lot of right-left coordination, so crossing that midline, movement, sequencing, and memory. And one thing that's really important as an instructor is not to overcomplicate a movement sequence, but not to dumb it down. So to try and find that middle ground. There's also the idea of music and how we know music, really it integrates so many aspects of the brain. They're still learning more about music and why it's so beneficial. And the last, and I don't want to say the most important, but I think the thing that I relate to most intimately is the psychosocial aspect, the community aspect.
Right.
People walk into that room and they feel understood, and there's no judgment. There's full acceptance for whoever they are and wherever they are in their diagnosis and in their week. We just know and really care for each other at a very deep level. And that's not anything that medication or surgery or doctor's visits can do. We are there for each other.
And what's your attraction to this disease itself in terms of, as a dancer, wanting to work with these particular kind of subset of folks?
Well, I think, as I mentioned earlier, it was just hearing about it and hearing about people who things are being taken away from them. The abilities that they've known and accepted and taken for granted, because we all do. When you hurt any part of your body, you realize how much you use that. And if you are all of a sudden now having that slowly chipped away at, this dance program, it fills in, I think, in ways. Now, again, I don't have Parkinson's, and I don't want to speak for someone who does. But so from the outside, for me, it was saying, here I have an opportunity to bring what I love about movement, how it brings joy to me, to a certain population where that is being taken away, and to have it be sanctioned and created by such an amazing organization. I think it was really that. And I mean, I feel so privileged to be able to do this. So I teach a dance class 3 days a week, and then I teach at Brown University. We have created a year-long program looking at why the arts impact people with neurological disorders, why and how. And we're actually starting to look at the study of and researching. So we're looking at it on all these different levels, bringing in undergraduates who will be our future doctors. Most of our students in our class are pre-med.
Oh, really?
So and it's changing their lives. They're thinking they're going to go and do certain things in medical school, and they see, wait a minute, this is a whole nother approach that they can take. So we're really training doctors of tomorrow to see the impact of art on our quality of life. So I think that was what.
Yes, yeah. And Carol, can you attest to some of the stuff that is being described?
Yeah, prove me
you,
right or wrong, Carol.
I could see just the fact of movement. I was never a dancer, but we were talking off camera about your other passion is swimming.
Yeah.
And my mother passed away 2 years ago at 99. And she attributed not to dance, but to swimming. She swam 3 days a week at the JCC for forever, and she lived part of the time in Florida, part of the time in West Hartford, and so she swam down there unless it was pouring out every single day. So I can see I can visualize the fact of her swimming having this incredible impact on her that gave her the ability, and she always attributed to being able to raise her arms and her legs and being able to have stamina and to be able to walk and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that some of that same thing that you're talking about in terms of dance is what I would see on a regular basis with my mom in terms of the swimming, and of course the water has that agility thing that allows you this incredible movement.
Yeah.
So, but I think, describe for me and for us, what it's really like to do these steps and stuff.
Well, it's really very interesting because, you think it's going to be really complicated, but Rachel just has an amazing way of, we do like specific warm-up routines and even do, as she said, some improvisational things. And there's, a brief period of each class where you actually do something on your own as just a brief, period. And it's amazing. Initially, people are a little like, oh my goodness, everybody's going to be looking at me and I have to think of something to do. But, people come out of that so easily to be able to just come up with some kind of movement that you're just free to do whatever you're comfortable doing. And it just helps with, just being able to move and just, enjoy life.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I can visualize it. When I had after my second child, I wanted an exercise, and I had studied when I was a little kid. As awful as I was as a musician, I was the worst dancer. But I did study ballet again in a ballet class as a way of losing weight and getting tight. If anybody's ever delivered children, there's parts of your body that never and the ballet I obviously wasn't doing any toe work.
Well, they do these studies, right, with ballerinas and football players, and saying really it's the ballet person trained in ballet that's far like those who couldn't do ballet, go play football. But I do want to say something to the testimony of our participants, like Carol.
Yes.
So a little anecdote about Carol, and then to kind of bring that point back, is that so these performances that we do at Brown, she will get on the train or the bus from New London to come to Providence, walk down to where we're performing. Or one time she was in Florida, she had to leave and come back to make her performance. But what happens in this dance class is people, and these are the people with Parkinson's, they're very special people. And I say that because I know there are some people with Parkinson's who feel overwhelmed by the idea of coming to a dance class, getting to a dance class. And accessibility is always an issue. The people who make it to these Parkinson's dance classes come because they know what they're going to get from it. They know that they've got this diagnosis and they're not going to let it get them. They're going to do what they need to do to have the fullest life possible. And this dance class, I think, brings so much to them. They get it for the hour and 15 minutes of the dance class. And for many, and I think I should ask you this, for many it doesn't end there. That dopamine surge lasts hours, perhaps days after, because there's a sense of confidence that comes that's very difficult to measure. So they're not only getting this community and these wonderful health benefits, but they're getting this sense of, I can do this. And if they can get on a bus and go to New York City and perform in front of an amazing group of people who are dancers and professional dancers, get back on that bus, come home and say, I just performed in New York.
Wow.
I think that's the intangible of this program.
Right.
And they're very special people, I will say.
Have you considered having some of your musicians from your music school actually performing for the dancers?
Oh man, that would be amazing.
I know for some classes from time to time we have had accompanists, whether it's a piano player or that have gone to some of the classes. But yeah, that would be an ideal situation.
I mean, you have ready-made all these young through old ensemble groups. So we have a little group there that could actually be performing for the dancers.
It's a great idea.
What do you take as the dancers or the groups beside Morris that are sort of your maybe your models that you use for using with these particular population? I mean, is there a certain choreographer that you find more or better?
Again, the premise of the class is that you try and hit as many genres as possible.
Okay.
So we use jazz, we use folk, we use new age, we use classical. We really hit as many different music choices because there's maybe someone who really doesn't like Dixieland jazz,
right,
you know,
right.
and bring on, you know, improv or bring on something classical. So I, as a person who's using recorded music, am always trying to really make a nice blend of that. But on top of Mark Morris, this program I mentioned to you that we work with, who uses these classical modern dance choreographers' work, it's a wonderful way, again, I think, to create community between professional dancers, high school dancers, and our Parkinson's dancers,
right.
to look at this classical piece of choreography. And we really pull it apart. We take off the layers and look at what was the inspiration for this person's choreography. So this year our choreographer of choice is Robert Battle. So Robert Battle is now the artistic director of the Alvin Ailey company.
Okay, sure.
And so he's also someone that we've worked with before, and he's got a very specific style. And I've just actually started learning it yesterday. I spent a lot of time in front of my my computer. But what I have to do at that point is really look at the essence of whoever's choreographer's work we're doing. Mm-hmm. And I impart that to my dancers. So we're learning about this whole technique and where, you know, the inspiration for Robert Battle, or if it was Jose Limon, because we've done a number of different choreographers' works. But we go into this historical research, really, so that our dancers are not only connecting to the movement, but they're connecting to the music and to the imagery and to what was in the choreographer's mind when they were choreographing. So it's just, it goes beyond just our classroom activity and then see you later. I often send them homework too.
It's like deconstructing.
Completely.
Deconstructing a piece.
That is what I'm doing right now. I'm learning it and I'm deconstructing it so that it can be taught and learned and performed seated in chairs, with people from age 50 to 90
right.
with, you know, varying levels of mobility.
Just as in oftentimes taking a famous composer, deconstructing
exactly.
it.
Without taking away the
beauty of it.
The integrity of what the choreographer, and that's my job, but it's also their job to learn it and perform it, and they do it beautifully.
Now, with Battle, do you need to get permission from him to take and make some changes?
No, because, well, that's a very good point, because we performed the David Parsons etude last year, and he came and watched us doing it. So, and he said, now how did you do? So he asked different questions. No, because we're not making money from it, we're doing this. And each of these choreographers has created their etude for American Dance Legacy Initiative. So we're all a part of this thing. Okay. It's a teaching, and what's happening is it's sustaining and keeping their work alive, because otherwise modern dance choreography doesn't live on beyond the person teaching you in that moment. You know, it's not like classical ballet.
Right.
So we don't have to worry about that.
Yes, yes, that's interesting. Now, what attracts you to a particular piece of dance? You, as the instructor and as the brains behind sort of getting this thing off and running, you've obviously been exposed to lots and lots of dancers. So what gets you that say, you know what, not only is this a beautiful piece, but this is a beautiful piece for my particular population?
So in terms of this choreography, so that I'm actually told what we're going to do.
Oh,
so it's within this whole model of etudes. There are only a certain number of choreographers who've been chosen. But what I will do is I will often look at other people's choreography, like Mark Morris, for instance, and take what they've done and rework it. But other than learning these etudes, it's all, each of the instructors, it's all our own choreography.
Oh, okay.
So I think for me, the bigger question is, what are we trying to achieve in these dance classes? What music best serves that purpose? What's going to be fun for my participants?
Right.
You know? And it's so much of it is imagery, and that comes from the Dance for PD program out of Brooklyn. If we can create imagery, we can get away from the exercise aspect of movement and bring it to a place of I don't want to say escape, but a storytelling. To me, life is about story, and dance is one way to tell stories. So it's about telling stories through our movements and pairing it with music that is fun to move to.
And you were actually trained through the Dance for PD program.
Oh yeah, yeah. I go back every year. I love that. I just had it in November. I have my professional development training. I go every year for 3 days, and we're always learning from each other.
And we do have another instructor, Laura Richling, who teaches our classes that are in Branford and in Middletown, and Laura's gone through that training as well.
Yeah.
So there's this wonderful national, I gather, international program, and it's but its seed is basically in the Parkinson movement.
It stemmed from this connection between Ole Westheimer and Mark Morris. Yeah, and we have this wonderful, also international piece. Sarah Houston is someone who does work with English National Ballet and Dance for PD, and she's connected with Dance for Parkinson's also. So we have a lot of information, a lot of research comes through her. She has a lot.
So I as someone who, I was off camera telling you that my cousin was just diagnosed with Parkinson's. And how is it that all of this work and stuff has been associated with this particular disease versus, oh my God, there's 30 or 40 out there that possibly would also benefit from something like that?
I think it's, I don't want to say by chance. I think it was because Ole Westheimer went to Mark Morris. I think there are some things that are very specifically targeted to some of the symptoms of Parkinson's disease, but there's a lot of it that does really reach across to many other conditions, and so that's why we don't limit it to Parkinson's only.
So you could have something, you could have MS or some other kind of neurological issue, and you'd be absolutely welcome.
Yeah, I do that in my Providence class. It's called Dance for the Aging Population, and it's very similar. We call it Dancing with Parkinson's here, but we're very clear when we speak to people, or even in our marketing material, to say. And other movement challenges, because we do want to be accessible to others, because it isn't only Parkinson's.
Right, exactly. There's fortunately, unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of neurological diseases out there.
And simply aging. I mean, they say that Parkinson's is really a window into early aging.
Interesting.
So this is benefiting us all. It's benefiting everyone. There's nothing about a dance class that isn't beneficial.
Well, I know that balance, of course, just for anyone, whether you're 2 years old or you're 102 years old, is certainly a very important in terms of keeping that balance to prevent people, whether you're 2 years old or 102, from falling. Yeah. So I would imagine that some of the stuff that you teach has a lot to do with learning to maintain balance.
Absolutely.
And some of it is the muscles, and some of it, I understand, is up here.
Yeah.
So that it would have a very positive impact for just anyone with balance issues.
Balance is a huge, and posture. We do a lot of things with opening the body, so there's a sense of expansion, because what happens with Parkinson's is everything gets shrunk and compressed and collapsed. So the whole idea of standing and modeling our behavior like a politician or a model, or just in taking on those personas. And they do become dancers. They are. What is remarkable is when a new person comes into class, and you, as a teacher, you're always trying to really meet everyone's needs, and you realize very quickly how much people who've been coming for not even that long of a period, how much they have picked up and really taken on dancers' qualities. And that,
now we actually have a clip from someone dancing?
Yeah.
Yes, we have a clip that is actually footage that was taken at a recent open house that we held in New London. And one of in addition to Rachel, David Leventhal from Mark Morris Group is actually featured in the clip.
Yeah.
So if we can, we'd like to run this clip. It's relatively short. It's like less than 2 minutes, and it'll give us some inspiration as to what people actually look like when they're, this doesn't become an esoteric. It's an actual, I was going to ask you how many things that you do tape just as lesson plans almost, in the sense of, instead of writing down things that you might teach, you might create tape the things that you want to create. I don't know about how you become a choreographer, but I would imagine that you sort of have a camera on yourself as you figure out the movements that you want to have.
Actually, I don't. I don't. I think I've done this long enough that I kind of know what works and know what needs to be integrated and what music is going to move people. And so I don't do a lot of taping, no.
So you're not like an actor practicing?
Yeah, no. I don't have my technician like you have Frank here. If I had Frank, maybe I would do something.
So tell us a little bit about the background for this clip that we're going to play.
Well, just the clip is footage that was recorded back in October at our open house that was held at Conn College in New London.
And we do this once a year to encourage anyone in the near vicinity who's willing to travel to Connecticut College to come and take part in this class. It's free. It's free every week. We're at 10:30, Wednesdays 10:30 to 11:45. We are always accepting donations. We love donations because everything is supported by grants written out of the Neighborhood Music School office. But we have a beautiful studio, and we'd love for more people to come and to grow our family.
And this is actually held at Conn College.
This particular footage is from the open house at Conn College.
Do you have other open houses that you host during the course of the year?
Well, we also do Middletown, and next year we'll probably do Branford.
And they're usually in the fall. We usually do them in October. It seems to work.
Yeah,
because is it a sense of having people practice some performance piece?
It's really more of an open class. It's an open invitation for people to come and participate in it.
It's like bring your friend, bring your cousin,
And then people just show up and dance.
It's like a typical Wednesday class.
Or they could, or if they're more comfortable, they could just observe and maybe come back at a later time.
Nobody observes that. It's way too much fun. They all join in.
And what do you wear? Do you wear like leggings and sneakers? What you don't wear ballet? Or do you wear ballet slippers?
No.
Okay.
I am always barefoot.
Okay.
And so I encourage people to wear whatever is comfortable. Some people really prefer something on their feet. So it runs from sneakers to socks to barefoot.
Okay.
So it's it's not, as long as you are comfortable moving in whatever you're wearing. There's no dress code.
No dress code.
Well, maybe
and caregivers are welcome as well.
Yes.
To dance.
Oh my gosh. I have to say that is a big, big, big attraction here. It's a great place and what I love seeing is couples or caregivers and their relationship with the carer during that class. You see these relationships really deepen. It's just a wonderful chance for the caregiver, who is often under a great deal of pressure for many reasons, especially if it's a spouse, to just have time to breathe and have fun.
Wow. Do they do dance together?
They do everything.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, we have them all the time.
Oh, okay. And generally in your classes, the caregivers come and...
There's not a lot of them in our class now. We have a few.
Right.
Yeah. But we always encourage it. It's
okay. All right.
Big part of it.
And did I get the impression most people are actually, most of the stuff is done while you're sitting rather than actually?
I would say about 5/8 of the class is probably seated. We work upper body, lower body, coordinating all of that so we get this nice warm up. Then we stand up and if we have a ballet bar, we use the ballet bar. And if then we do some movement standing, and then we use across the floor. It's modeled after a typical dance class, except in a dance class there might be floor work, so we don't do lying on the floor.
Do you need a special like you do I know in a ballet studio there is a special kind of floor.
We don't have to have that, although we do like it because we are using it. So some of them, we don't have marley usually on these dance floors, but they're sprung floors so that they're easy on the muscles, and you do want that.
Yes, because I would imagine that.
Because we're dancers.
And it's generally low impact, though.
Oh, it's very low impact.
Okay. All right. So, well, I was just curious in terms of.
Yeah, well, you'll see from you'll see a little bit of it.
Are we going to have the clip, or are we running as we sometimes do? Unfortunately, with. Well, that was absolutely lovely because it gives the audience a real idea about what these people are doing. It's lovely Carol's telling us about this stuff, but to see it visually is very nice, and it's a wonderful thing to be shown everywhere. So, who actually made that for you?
Oh, the video clip
Yes,
was
yes.
done by Heather Schnabel, who works with me at Neighborhood Music School, and she
okay.
came and shot the videotape and edited it all together.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful present. Do you take it out and kind of show it in lots of places?
Well, it's something we'd like to do further, you know, and in the future, and it will be on our website as well.
Oh, wonderful! Along with our show, of course, can be on your
Exactly.
website
Yeah,
to get
that's
more people
wonderful.
involved.
Yeah.
Because I think it was important for people, although the camera will pick up what Carol looks like, it's not quite the same
Right.
as watching people actually doing movement.
Yeah.
And I could see why physical therapists would be interested in promoting this kind of program, because there's clearly some benefit. And I know, having short stints with doing physical therapy,
Yeah.
it is absolutely unpleasant.
Right.
And it's usually in some horrible, bare place. So that having an opportunity to do it in a nice social setting,
Right. Well, that speaks to the adherence. You know, you only go to physical therapy because you have to. It's not
Right.
something that you go to because it's fun.
Right.
And the dance class, I mean, the adherence rate is quite high because
Right.
it's
Right.
fun.
And it's because you set such a wonderful tone, and Rachel's such a professional. And
Yeah, we do. We have so much fun. I can drive. So I drive from Newport to New London, and I can be in a bad mood. Not often, but every now and then.
Well, 95 is a
something
banger.
can kind of get me going. And I walk into my class, the dance studio, and that all melts away. Because the bodies don't lie. We get to express and move and find joy, and we touch each other. You know, there's not often that there's touch in the world, and I hopefully integrate it other times in the class. We always end holding hands and squeezing and really connecting in a very profound way. So we're touched.
Right. No, well, when I think of dance, I usually think of a partner.
Yeah.
And I do think
Well, that's so interesting you should say that, because often people will shy or stay away from this because they think, dance, okay, so it's a couple, so I have to be, you know, and I can't, so forget it. So it's this word dance, it's got such power in it and not always positive. So I think, you know, the idea of kind of breaking through that. I actually had a gentleman years ago say, I wish I had known about this years ago. He was an engineer, and this was so far out of his realm of comfort.
Right.
And to see what we did in that class and to experience it, he said, this is nothing like I ever experienced a dance class to be.
Right, right. I mean, I think, you know, you think of square dancing and other kinds of popular dancing that people do, but when I think of this kind of dance, I'm imagining, because I've seen Mark Morris.
Yeah.
And I've seen Alvin Ollie, the dance company.
Yeah.
So I think of definitely touch, and not only just a couple, but when I see partners, I think of more than, and I'm opening my hands up because that's the sense I get, where there is that openness, but the touch, it could be the elbow, it could be the thigh, it could be the shoulder. And so I can really see that as a wonderful way for people to really feel good about their bodies and less inhibited about what they think might be stopping them from doing the kinds of
they're
movements.
given permission to move, to be silly, to be dramatic. It's like this, they're given permission to really, I think, express things that we were only expressing as children. And then we lose that freedom.
That's right. That's right.
Sense of freedom and expression.
Right. And lack of fear.
Exactly. And here's a chance to just be and do what you want. And it's really joyful.
Well, we're going to be wrapping up the show, so tell us again, reinforce for us, where, when, how do we participate, or tell people to participate?
Well, the information is available on our website,
Great.
which is neighborhoodmusicschool.org. And again, this particular class is free. And we have locations in New London at Conn College, in Middletown and also in Branford. And if you do have questions, also you're welcome to email Rachel. Her email address is up on the screen.
Okay.
And you can also call us at Neighborhood Music School and ask about it. And we really want to encourage people just to come out and give it a try.
Just come.
And don't be afraid. Bring a friend if you want.
Please come. Wednesdays, 10:30 to 11:45. We are really a great group of people, and we want you to come.
It's on the campus of Connecticut College.
Yes, for the second. We're normally in the second floor studio, but we're moving to the third floor. It's called West Studio.
Okay.
That's where we'll be for their second semester.
So ask somebody.
And we
on
go
campus.
through. We are year round. We take off for Thanksgiving and Christmas and a week or two every now and then if for some reason I can't be there. But typically we're about 48 weeks out of the year we are there.
And how many people typically come to a class?
I would say between 12 and 20.
Okay.
Probably good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, on like a bad weather day or a beautiful summer day. I don't know. And we have some snowbirds. I'm realizing we definitely are going to lose some people. So we have lots of room.
Okay,
in
wonderful,
January, February,
wonderful.
March.
Do we need to register and call in advance?
It's a good idea to call or email me just so I can expect you, but you don't have to.
Right,
Not
and
at
you
all.
don't worry about the attire, but you do want to wear something comfortable.
Something you can move in.
Yes.
Something you're willing to move in.
Right.
And comfortable footwear.
Okay, comfortable foot, but you could be barefoot. You could wear socks.
Absolutely,
Okay.
any of those.
And maybe
comfortable shoes.
some athletic clothing or something like that.
Yeah, but many people come in their street clothing. It's fine as long as you can open your arms.
Open your arms.
You can
Okay,
do
very,
this, you're good.
yes.
If you can do this, you're good.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And want to put in your last plug for the neighborhood
Just-
music school?
We want to encourage people to check out our website, find out more about Neighborhood Music School. There's so much that you can participate in. We're really a warm, friendly community. You know, even if
60 different music, or 30,
over 30
different instruments,
and-
including voice.
And you can be a beginner, you can have experience, you can be like Harriet, you played something when you were a kid, and maybe you want to try it again later
Or
on.
maybe try something different.
That's right, try it
Maybe
different.
you'll be more successful
I
later
also
on.
just want to give a big shout out to the Neighborhood Music School because the model of their promoting and hosting and owning these classes, by owning I mean really sponsoring them, is exactly what we want to see kind of nationwide. These community arts organizations who are providing so much for their community in the regular lessons and programming, but then also these other outreach programs. It means so much, and it's just an incredibly beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
We're just
Well,
really thankful
for that.
I want to thank my guests for coming. And this is Harriet Grayson, the host and producer of Community Culture Showcase. I hope you check out the Neighborhood Music School and certainly these dance classes at Connecticut College. Don't be bashful. And again, I want to wish everybody happy holidays and let us have a wonderful, peaceful, prosperous 2017. Thank you all.